Welcome back to the Authentic Human Podcast. I'm Michelle Vickers, and this is part 67 of the story of creation. So, if you haven't been here before, these are live conversations with universal beings in front of a live audience, and we're just documenting. We're basically documenting the true history of our human origins. Why? Because it's my belief that they've been covered up. They've been hidden strategically from us. And I also believe from 20 years of researching and exploring that original humans knew and had full awareness of who we are and our origins. It allowed us to participate in evolution in a way that we can't right now. Because when you don't understand who you are, you don't understand why you were created, what you're meant to be doing, you can't access any of your natural instincts that propel you into participation in your own reason for existence, which is exploring your potential. You can't access that. You can't access, right now, most humans can't access consciousness, right? Which consciousness is the well of information that basically is a record of every single thing that has ever happened in existence, right? No matter what anyone does or who does it, it's all there. Why? Because nothing's hidden. Nothing in existence is hidden from you unless you believe it is. And that's what we're going to talk about today, is understanding that the concept of secrets, the concept of hidden information. It's really interesting because the way they're showing me, so I've got a lot of universal beings, but I do have, Jesus is present. He's very present today. And he's also, you know, he's gonna, he wants you to really understand that what we're talking about today has the potential to change the face of human existence. Okay. And what does he mean by the face of human existence? It means how we exist with ourselves, how we relate to ourselves, how we communicate with ourselves. Because right now, your communication, you probably don't even think about the communication that you have with yourself on a day-to-day basis, right? But every plan you make in your head, every belief you have, every thought you have is your conversation with yourself. And it has all been shaped by the people that have created your society. I know that sounds crazy because how can we all have societies? But the reality is, as a soul, you chose the situation for which you would enter into physically. So you chose your parents, you chose your caregivers, whether they were your parents or whether you were put up for adoption, whether you were in an orphanage, whether you were, all of the things, whether you were raised by family members, any of those situations, you chose them. You understood and you knew what you were coming into, okay? And it's really important that we start to look at our journey from a perspective of truth rather than judgment. Okay, now we've talked about this for a long time, but it's understanding that the society we live in, okay, loves labels. We love labels, right? Why do we love labels? Because if we put a label on it, we can justify our behavior. We can justify why we are a certain way, why someone else is a certain way, and what happened to us as a result of whatever that other person did or whatever you did. And this behavior, okay, is the narrative that's going on in your head on a regular basis. But they want you to begin to understand that your narrative is based mainly on judgment. And I know that that may be tricky to believe, okay? But competitiveness, um, you know, just the concept of the education system, right? Performing for others. Here's the reality: every human is born with an insatiable curiosity and a natural instinct to learn. That's it. Everyone loves to learn. The education system has systemically, they've actually trained your brain to resist wanting to learn. Why? Why would they do that? Why would they curb your natural instincts for the one thing that will actually bring you fulfillment? Because that's what learning is. Learning is exploring. It's the same thing, right? If you're exploring, you are in a space of experiencing something that you have never done before. And you got there as a result of curiosity and wanting to try something different. That's exactly how you were created. And yet we are now funneled, okay, through the education system in such a strategic way that it's a foregone conclusion for most of the population. And in a lot of ways, it's there's a lot of cultures where they say, we don't have enough, like there's not enough money to go to school and there's not enough schools. So it's now a privilege to go to school. And actually, it's pretty much assumed that way across the board. And they want to actually address the word privilege first. Because the concept of privilege makes you believe that you're not really worthy, but somehow you snuck in there because you're better than someone else. And the reality is that belief right there opens so many doorways to judgment. How is any human better than any other human? That belief system is not only flawed, it is in complete opposition of existence and the original intention for existence, but the foundation of existence. And this is really important to understand because the foundation of this universe holds a very specific energetic frequency and vibration. Okay. Either you're in alignment with it or you're not. When you're in alignment with it, everything in your life flows. Everything. When you're not in alignment with it, you continue to face hurdle after hurdle after hurdle. Okay? Challenges that make you feel like there's something wrong with you. Why is it harder for you than everyone else? And this is because of this concept of privilege. It's a label that has been strategically used, very strategic, in order to create classes. So class identification is also problematic because your brain will strive to, it wants to be a part of a class. It wants to be, now here's the thing, here's the really fascinating thing, okay, is as universal beings, you don't strive for any of those things. The only thing you strive to do is explore your curiosity. It had to be learned. So what they did is they created this education system, okay? So the education system is the first system that will, well, it's mind control, right? And so it will create rules and basically the way they're showing me, it's they're create an institution in your mind, okay? And this institution it holds a number of indoctrines that allow you to participate in certain beliefs and ensure you do not participate in others. Okay. Now, depending on where you were born, the circumstances of your birth, and how you were raised will determine which indoctrines were fortified even more than others. Okay. This is why at this time in the world, okay, we are having such a such an upset, such a surgence of disruption, because all of these belief systems they're coming out now. And here's the really interesting thing is that those who controlled us didn't really think this would ever happen. Okay. They believed that they could indoctrinate humans forever and that they wouldn't be opposed, they, as in humans, wouldn't be opposed to this because they taught us to believe it was comfortable. And here's the thing. Those who are in positions of power, and I use that word very, very specifically because if you are a human of conscious awareness, you have zero interest in power, zero. Your only interest is truth, respect, compassion, love, joy, purity, balance, okay? And you understand that every human holds value in this universe. So your interest in power does not exist because you understand there's nobody trying to get your place. There's nobody who wants to use you to advance themselves because that's not actually how the universe works. We don't have a structure where we use other people, but that's an illusion. It's part of the indoctrination. It's part of the manipulation and the brainwashing is that you use other people. You make connections, you make contacts so that those contacts can help you. But it's not true. Well, it's true, but only to a certain point. And what they mean by that is if you're following the indoctrination, then it's certainly true for you. And this is where we are right now as a human race. We have both sides. We have the capacity to be angry, so angry that we fight. We have the capacity to kill. And all of that is a result of being taught that killing is necessary. Killing is important. Killing will protect you and keep you safe. But it's not true. Because when you understand who you are at the core of your being, your essence, when you understand, you can feel the energy, the creator right now, he's flooding the energy so you can have the experience of feeling just how diverse and intricate and fascinating you are. And so is every other being, every other human in existence. Your job is to go out and explore what you can do with that immense amount and capability that you have, right? You're meant to explore what you're capable of. You're not meant to focus on beating other people, advancing over them, because that's a competition, that's a race. And that's not how humans were created to exist. We were created with the purity of intention, of allowing ourselves to contribute to evolution. Evolution does not need corruption. It can't work with corruption. And corruption says, I'm going to beat you at your own game. That's corruption. If you're trying to be the best at what someone else is doing, you're not exploring your potential. I know that that's hard for some people to hear. It's hard for a lot of us to hear. But the anger and fight that brings us to war, it's very interesting to see energetically what's going on in the background. Those who are making the decisions to go to war don't actually care about the humans in the front lines. They could care less. They are in a position of power over humans. And the only people who allowed them to be in that position is us. We gave them free rein. How do we do that? By following their indoctrinations, by allowing their rules to become our rules. Have you ever heard that saying, don't do as I say, do as I do? That's the exact foundation of human existence and the corruption that occurred. Because humans in our creation, so the original intention of existence is free will. It's the only rule that governs this entire universe. So anyone can do anything. It's why they've been able to get away with all these mass manipulations. But the Creator has faith in you. He believes in you and that you will remember who you are. This isn't about waiting for someone to come and save you, waiting for Jesus to save you. Jesus isn't going to save you. That's not his job. His job is to help you understand compassion. Compassion has zero pity. It has full understanding of what you're capable of and that it is going to challenge you to every single little bit of everything you have. But he's going to be there to say, do it anyways. Do it with grace. Do it with integrity. Because you're the one who's going to experience the fulfillment at the end, the peace inside that you're craving. You can't access that level of peace without participating in your own evolution. That's what you were created to do. And right now, you're hiding behind an indoctrination that has strategically taught you to ignore your instincts, to ensure that you follow rules that you don't even agree with, and yet you're following through on them. So, where do we start? How do we start coming to that place of being able to embody truth in a world that wants you to do nothing but judge and fear? You start in how you talk about yourself and how you talk to yourself. You allow yourself to feel when it doesn't feel right, when something that you're doing, something that you're saying, something you're experiencing isn't right. And then you honor it. You honor it by talking about it. Not in a way that says, oh my gosh, I can't believe I have to go through this, but in a way that says, why did I put myself in this position? How did I put myself in this position? Because when you begin to ask those questions, the hows, the whys, that's when you're going to start to see solutions. You can't see a solution if you're in pity. You can't see them because they're not there. They don't reveal themselves because you're not communicating to the universe and to your soul that you're actually ready and looking for a solution that is in alignment with your soul. So when you start to ask how, when you start to ask why, that's you signaling the entire universe, I'm so ready to be done with all this. I'm done. I don't want to be a part of the lies anymore. I don't want to be a part of the failures and the fears that I am continuously riddled with in whatever capacity it is. Doesn't matter whether it has to do with your relationships, your home, your friendships, your feeling of watching what's going on in the world, watching the world crumble. It's scary right now. There is so many things that defy logic. Why? Because they're following these rules that aren't in alignment with our own existence, with our natural instincts. And it's time we change that. And the only way we can do that is by allowing ourselves to actually follow through with the conversations we're having inside. How you talk to yourself and how you talk about yourself. That's where you need to start. And you need to change the conversation from why is it happening to me to how did I end up in this situation? And instead of blaming someone else, allow yourself to see a solution. Here's the thing. Most of us don't want to do this because it takes immense effort. And what I mean by immense effort is because the solution means you're going to have to instigate yourself, instigate change. It means you're going to have conversations that are super uncomfortable. It means you're going to have to take action that's super uncomfortable. It means you're going to have to do things differently. But the important thing to remember is different is in alignment with your soul. It's how you were created. It's why you came into this life. Because not only do you thrive on different, you came into this life knowing you were meant to be a part of this change, a part of helping humanity rise above the manipulation in creating a new world that is based on truth. You can't do that if you're still lying to yourself, if you still speak about yourself with judgment. You can't do it. So, we've heard the saying, be the change. We've heard it. It's beautiful. But now you need to become who you're meant to be. It's tricky, but it's not as hard as you think it is. Because the moment you start to shift, your frequency changes. The energy that you're putting out changes. Your intention to participate in truth speaks to the vibration and frequency of truth from the heart of the universe. Things are going to fall into place easier than you think. So all of this fear that you're riddled with of, I don't want to make that change. It's going to be too hard. It's going to be too scary. I don't want to hurt other people. Listen, you're hurting more people by talking negatively about yourself than you understand right now. You'll get it when you get to the other side. But you've got to take the courage. You got to do it. You got to step into this new world because you're ready. Humanity is ready. We need you. We need you to learn how to love yourself. We need you to learn how to respect yourself and how to trust yourself and know that your instincts are incredible. And it may look like you're making mistakes to other people. You're not. You're learning because that's evolution. That's how we evolve as a human race because every human involved is evolving. That's the vibration of existence that we need to restore. The genuine curiosity and joy of life, joy of existence. And the only thing you need to do right now is remember the truth of who you are. How do you do that? by following those instincts. So every time your behavior tells you, I need to judge yourself, you need to judge yourself, you need to reprimand yourself, take a deep breath and be willing to say, okay, I see why I did that because I've done that for the last 15 years, 20 years. I don't want to do it anymore because it doesn't feel good. Then change it. Be willing to ask the question. And if you don't know how to love yourself or respect yourself, that's okay. That's okay. Because when you honor and ask that question, just ask, how can I learn how to love myself? How can I learn how to be comfortable with myself? When you start to ask those questions, the universe is going to show you. But you've got to be willing to see where you're acting in direct opposition of loving yourself. There's going to be a whole bunch of uncomfortable situations and experiences that come up. Why? Because the universe is saying, look here, this behavior is you not loving yourself. So all of a sudden you're going to have disagreements. And it's great because it means that the way you interact with that person, or, it's time to end that. But sometimes it's time to walk away from relationships. It's understanding that you have so much more power in who you are. Power is not about controlling other people like we've been taught. It's not about social standing. Your power is about self-recognition. When you understand who you are, you become more powerful than anyone in existence. Why? Because no one can control you. And you recognize that you're not here to have more power than anyone else. You're here to explore your potential and feed, right? Feed consciousness. That's what you have the capacity to do. And it's time you explore that. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this, please give it a like, subscribe, share with as many people that you feel are ready to love themselves. And let me know what parts of you you're ready to love. Thanks so much for watching.